Wow, we're going to start off some segments. Let's start off with the thing that we didn't talk about because we've been busy having lives. But however, this is still one of the objectively worst stories that we could have possibly had.
You have a life?
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So, remember how Xbox bought those 30,000 studios?
Boy, do I.
So they made the brilliant idea of shutting down multiple studios. They shut down Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, and Roundhouse Games. They shut that down as well. And you may go thinking, oh, these are no-name studios.
No, they're not.
The Arcane Austin made Prey and Dishonored.
Yeah.
Tango Gameworks made The Evil Within. And they also made Hi-Fi Rush, which was a big hit on Xbox.
A very big hit.
Alpha Dog Games made a mobile Doom game, and Roundhouse Games made Redfall, in helps with Arcane Studio. So,
all very large AAA release, aside from the mobile game, but still.
So, normally we'd expect this is not a good time, as studios are facing countless layoffs, mainly in attempt to maximize profits so they can start investing in AI and to make stocks go up. Awful things for a CEO to do, you know, because honestly, the thing you should be doing as a video game studio is making video games instead of making weird capitalist ventures.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You're crazy.
I know. But instead, they Xbox did the thing that they said they weren't going to do, and they're closing down studios. And they're not even going to shuffle the employees into other things. They're just straight up shutting the studio down and taking the IPs. Yep.
Wow, good job, Microsoft.
Yeah, so what makes this a little worse, we're going to start doing this, but first of all, let's start with the red flag of Redfall, okay? See what I did there? Red flag.
Yeah, good job. You made a joke. Remember when before we started recording and you were like, there we go, I made my good joke of the day. Yeah, you sure did. You used all your power on that one joke.
You're dead to me. Now, Redfall, if you don't know, was a bad game. Now, it came out and it was a bomb, financially. First game the studio made for Microsoft. Oh, wait, Dave, they didn't make it for Microsoft. They were making that before Microsoft purchased it. Same thing with Hi-Fi Rush. None of these games, Microsoft went to them directly and said, please make these for us, right? So, what's the deal with Redfall? It was a bad game. Why didn't Microsoft stop them? Because they wanted to make it. No, it's actually found out that no one wanted to make Redfall.
Oh.
They wanted to make, yes, they wanted to make Dishonored 3.
That would have been a good game.
Because
Dishonored is a good franchise.
They were forced to make Redfall. Bethesda forced them because they wanted Bethesda to have a live service to look good before they were sold. So that way they could be like Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, and Redfall coming out soon. No one wanted to make it. Redfall had so many employees burnt out and leaving Bethesda because they didn't want to make Redfall. No one wanted Redfall. And when Microsoft bought Bethesda, all the employees were like, please cancel Redfall. And they went, no, because they wanted a live service game. And guess what happened? The game came out, it was unfinished, it was unpolished, it was bad because no one was passionate about actually making this game. So that flopped.
And so the player base was like next to nothing on launch.
Yep. They had a season pass. It didn't finish. They didn't finish the season pass. The final.
I think they were even going to update it, like within this coming year, to make it so you could play offline.
No, they did that. That's the final update.
Oh, that's the final update.
Yep,
okay,
that was the final update.
So they did finish that.
They did finish that update.
Small miracles, I guess.
So one studio, one game made, immediately. All right, fine. All right, I get it. Sure. That does not explain Tango Gameworks, who made Hi-Fi Rush, which everyone objectively said was one of the greatest video games of last year.
Nominated for multiple game awards.
Won multiple awards, has received universal praise to literally anyone who plays the game. They were pitching a sequel The guy who founded Tango Gameworks left because he was confident that the studio could just keep making things without him. They apparently pitched tons of games, Evil Within 3, Hi-Fi Rush 2, other things. Gone. They're also gone. They're also gone. Now, I have a tweet that I want to bring up.
Okay.
Because it actually does explain the situation. Because this is actually really thing. This is by Brad Hildebrand. He used to work for Microsoft and EA, and he sums it up. All right, and I'm just going to read this verbatim. This is, again, not me. This is a quote. There are two reasons why all those Bethesda studios closed, and neither of them have anything to do with Bethesda directly. It's Game Pass and Activision. The biggest paradox with Game Pass is that it basically makes every game that launches on the service badly miss its sales goals, which makes sense. Why pay full price to buy a game when you can play it for free as part of your subscription? This is accounted for somewhat by attributing portions of revenue to top-performing Game Pass games every month, but there are factors working against games. Namely, the fact that most games don't stay at the top of the charts for more than a month or two. And also, Game Pass growth has stagnated, so games like Hi-Fi Rush, which is incredible, mind you, gets a very small bump in revenue for being the hot Game Pass game of the month, then it falls off a cliff when everyone moves to the next thing. Poor Redfall had it even worse since it launched so rough and it never had a chance. The system was fine for a while when Game Pass was growing like gangbusters, but now it's slowed way down. The amount of revenue it's attributing to games isn't keeping up with the budget to make them. But all that wouldn't have even mattered 3 or 4 years ago, because back then, Xbox was basically a rounding error for Microsoft's books. The division made some money, but more importantly, it didn't cost that much, and other parts of the business easily covered the gaps. This is the big part. Then Xbox went on a buying spree and spent a lot of money on Bethesda, but the orders of magnitude more on Activision. Now the Eye of Sauron has turned, and Xbox is expected to start making back the $70 billion back, or at least cut expenses to the bone while they try. That brings us back to Game Pass so far. The big bets on driving new subscriptions, Redfield, Starfield, hasn't spurred nearly enough growth and not as much on the horizon that is likely to restart the momentum of Game Pass. The best bet is COD, but do you really risk the guaranteed sales revenue that franchises brings by putting it on Game Pass day one and potentially lose massive sales on COD? Mega studios and huge IPs are fine, but you're going to see the impact with smaller studios making really interesting games are going to fall away. Simply because as good as games like Hi-Fi Rush are, they're never going to make enough money to make back that $70 billion hole that Xbox now has to dig itself out of. Yeah, which now comes with the really garbage news that they are going to put the new Call of Duty on Game Pass, even though apparently the whole time since buying Activision, the internal people at Microsoft have been literally having argumentative debates on putting Call of Duty on Game Pass because they're going to lose sales. Yeah. Which you could then say, well, I mean, it's $70. Yeah, but the counterpoint is, do the Call of Duty game sales make as much as the Warzone, which is where all the microtransactions go to?
True.
So,
but also, like, are people gonna care enough?
Yeah.
I think they would still buy Call of Duty regardless.
But however, if there was a thing in which you could spend $15 and just play it free for a month, because it's a single-player campaign.
True.
You play it for a month, you're done. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they dug themselves in a hole by buying Activision, and they have, right now, no plans. They have no games. They can't make a lot of money off of them. Like, so there's probably going to be more, like, studio closures, and they've confirmed there's going to be more. So this is incredibly stupid. And the worst part is, the day after they closed Tango Gameworks, one of their talking heads had the balls to say they need more smaller games like Hi-Fi Rush.
Like Hi-Fi Rush, that's right.
But the sequel to Hi-Fi Rush, they said would have taken 3 to 4 years to make, and the higher-ups at Xbox says that's too long to make a video game.
I don't think they know how long it typically takes to make a video game.
No one knows. We're at a point where video games take longer and longer to make because we keep focusing on hyper-realism and making these giant open worlds. When in all actuality, Hi-Fi Rush literally took 4 years to make, and you can tell it took 4 years to make because it's really good and has a lot of high production value, right? You can't just simply just make another like The Last of Us and be like, oh yeah, this is easy. We can crank this out in 3 years top. No, you can't do that anymore. And all right, so you may ask, well, what's there to look forward to? The Xbox, Hellblade 2, which no one liked.
I didn't even realize it came out.
It came out, and everyone said this was not worth waiting 6 years for a 3-hour-long game that has less gameplay than the first one.
Oh, not to mention, isn't it a Xbox exclusive sequel to a PlayStation exclusive game?
Timed PlayStation exclusive game because remember, PlayStation don't got no games.
Sorry.
All right.
My B.
Yeah. You really think Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation exclusive? No. Nah, that's gonna come to Xbox in a couple months. All right. Probably. Right. So, absolutely stupid. But there is good news.
Oh.
Toys for Bob has announced they are not going to be accepting their acquisition deal.
Thank God for that.
They're being their own studio, and right now are working on a publishing deal to make games for Microsoft.
Good.
So maybe that means we get Spyro 4? Maybe that means we get Crash 5?
Crash 5, yeah.
Because with Toys for Bob...
How did Crash 4 do, like, sales-wise anyways?
Fantastic. Small issue. Activision wanted Toys for Bob to go to the Call of Duty Dungeon Mines, but they needed a good excuse, so that's why they made that Crash Rumble game. But here's the thing, they gave like zero budget to them. So because they gave them such a low budget, the game actually sold pretty well, so they got a lot of money. So they didn't actually have a good excuse to send them to the Call of Duty Dungeon.
That's funny. That's funny.
Like the game.
Talk about karma.
They're like, here's no money. Make a $20 party game with reused assets. Okay, we'll make a live service game for $20. Apparently, it was a success.
Good for them, I guess. All right.
So yeah, that's. Dude, Microsoft's taking a fat L with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid. They're trying so hard, and it's going to take years for them to even get customer trust back. Like, you thought, if they shut down another studio, like if they shut down id or something, you will never get.
Because at this point, like, wouldn't surprise me if they did. It wouldn't surprise me.
No one hates Arcane.
No.
No one hates Tango Gameworks. Everyone liked those smaller studios. Yeah. If they shut down id or Double Fine, oh, no one will ever trust Microsoft again.
No.
Microsoft's public perception will go down worse than it ever could. Worse than anything EA could have done.
Listen. If they shut down id, I will personally go to Microsoft's HQ and fistfight Phil Spencer. Myself. You listening, Phil?
Coming for you, Philly. And like, that's why they're releasing Xbox exclusive games on PlayStation now. Like Call of Duty is going to go on PlayStation, not because of any legal thing. That aside, they were going to do that anyway. Sea of Thieves is on PlayStation. They're putting all sorts of games on PlayStation because that's going to make up the physical revenue that they're going to lose on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So it's awful, terrible ideas.